No matter how hungry you are, or thirsty, or tired, no matter how sick you are, even if you have a broken leg, you can still keep moving. This last week has been an absolute 1-2 gut punch. If people ask me why I want to become a priest, well, first of all, it's because I love Jesus and I want to go where he leads. But after that, it's because I want to bring people Jesus in the Eucharist during the Mass. And I want to be there as the instrument of the forgiveness of sins, to heal them and to unburden them from the burden and the chains of sin. And what had happened? Well, we're no longer celebrating public Mass for the next couple of weeks, and priests have been restricted from celebrating the sacrament of reconciliation and less in danger of death. Wow. So what do we do if we're feeling spiritually hungry, spiritually thirsty, spiritually tired? What are we doing if we're feeling spiritually sick? If we have a spiritual broken leg? We keep moving. And here's what I mean by that. Sometimes we don't get sin, we don't understand sin very well. And here's maybe two extremes that we want to maybe avoid. One extreme is to say, see what the church is doing. See, we can survive 2 weeks without the sacrament of reconciliation, without the sacrament of the Eucharist. See, we don't need it. And that's a bit like someone who breaks a leg, is on crutches, and decides, look, I can still move. I don't need to walk with 2 legs. Maybe not, but it's still foolish to not desire to walk, to have that leg healed. That's one extreme. The other extreme is to say, you know what, I can't move at all. I need to have everything perfect before I am able to pray, to love, to serve. I can't be in front of God unless I'm absolutely perfect. So we want to land somewhere in the middle there, right? We want to acknowledge our sinfulness and acknowledge our need for healing, but we don't want to stop moving. We don't want to keep moving forward. So to understand sinfulness a little bit better, where do we look? Maybe the Catechism, a good place to go. And it's not like I have this thing memorized and know exactly, okay, I want to talk about sin, I know exactly where that is. There's a great index on this thing. And if you're online, it's totally searchable. So you can just type in sin, all right? You go to the index, you look up sin, you find the paragraph. Oh, look at this. There's a whole section just on the fall and sin. And here's what the Catechism tells us. This is in paragraph 386, titled The Reality of Sin. Here the Catechism says, to try to understand what sin is, which is what we want to do, one must first recognize the profound relation of man to God. The profound relation of man to God. For only in this relationship is evil of sin unmasked in its true identity as humanity's rejection of God and opposition to Him, even as it continues to weigh heavy on human life and history. The Catechism is telling us to understand sinfulness, to understand what sin is, it has to be in the context of our relation to God. And what is our relation to God? God is the beginning, the end, and the middle. He is the origin and the destination and everything in between. He is not just another part of our lives. He is everything. He is our very identity, is grounded in God. And so sinfulness is a failure to live in accord with that identity, with who we are in relation as beings, as creatures that are absolutely fundamentally in relation with God. So if that's how we understand sinfulness, then we can see that the mission of the church, our purpose, hasn't changed. Despite the fact that we're not meeting together for the Eucharist, despite the fact that priests have been restricted from celebrating reconciliation except in the danger of death, our mission is still the same. Our mission is still to be beings, creatures, men and women that are fundamentally, deeply, profoundly in relationship with God. Heaven is not some place where finally my will is absolute and I get to do whatever I want. Heaven is nothing but a loving relationship with the Trinity. And not just loving, nice, cute relationship. It's the total gift of ourselves. The entire gift of ourselves and the reception of God. To enter into this life-giving exchange of love that is God. That's where we're destined for. That's where we're headed. So sin just makes it more difficult to get there. That doesn't mean we should stop moving, right? The Navy SEALs, when they're training, they put themselves through some of the most difficult training. Why? So that being tired, being thirsty, being injured, being ill are not excuses to not complete the mission. Even if we got a broken leg, we can still continue to move forward, to acknowledge our sinfulness, but still seek to love, to still try and love, because I guarantee you, if you keep trying to move forward with a broken leg, when that leg gets, you're going to want that leg healed, first of all. And when it does get healed, you're going to be profoundly grateful and happy to have that healed, right? So that's the idea. The idea is this. God never abandons us. God does not wait until we're perfect to love us. And so it would be foolish to wait till we're perfect to love Him. Every moment is an opportunity to become more and more the men and women we were created to be. And having sinned is not an excuse to stop trying. You know, no matter how this last week has gone for you, if you have not lived it out as you might, if you haven't been very prudent in your decision making. Maybe there's been too much Netflix, too much substances, maybe there's been conflict in the home, maybe the relationship. Choose to love again. Choose to do what you can. Maybe it's harder. Maybe it's harder to sit down, be silent, and confront your own sinfulness. Do it anyway. Don't let it be an excuse. Every moment is an opportunity. So choose to love.